everyone, I'm Osel Campbell. Thanks for joining me for another editing video. So this photo is actually not mine. Was sent in to me by Megan, and she had a specific question. She wanted to know how to clone these people out in the background. There's a couple different ways you can do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this layer. Maybe. Make a copy of the layer. There we go. And I'm going to zoom way in so I can see kind of what's going on here. So these people, I mean, they're not in focus. They're not really adding anything to the picture, but they're just attracting a little bit from this image on the screen that we see. And so what we're going to do, sorry if I'm making you dizzy by zooming in and out, is I'm going to show you a couple different ways. So the first way to take care of this is to use a content aware. So this one's really simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the lasso and I'm going to kind of zoom around where the people are. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my mouse lost its tracking there. I'm going to zoom around where these people are. I'm going to get as close to them as possible because I really want to use as much of this as possible. And I'm just going to go to Edit, Fill, and it's Contents. You want Content Aware, and bam. So that is the easiest way. And then you can clean up any like latent artifacts or anything there. So do the same thing on the other person over here. Sorry. Do the same thing on the other person over here. Just do lasso around and then Edit, Fill, Content Aware. So that gives a pretty good a pretty good start to this. If you zoom out, you can't really tell that there was anyone there. Maybe a little cleaning up around the edges, that kind of thing. So that is one way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and create another layer by Control J. And I'm going to go ahead and make this layer invisible so that we can see what's going on with this one now. So I'm going to zoom back in. And I did, like I said, I did Content Aware for this one. And you can see the edges of the opening are a little bit wobbly, that kind of thing. We've got some artifacts here. You can always clean that up later. So that is the quickest way to do it. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to actually use the clone stamp. And when I use my clone stamp, I actually keep the opacity. I don't really use it over 50%. And the reason why is because if I use it over 50%, a lot of times we get choppy looks. So I'm going to go ahead and click Alt when I'm not really sure what that is on a Mac, but once I've got my clone stamp and I've set my opacity down, I don't know if you can see this, I've got 45 and 40. Make sure you sample your current layer. That is really important. So I'm going to go in by clicking Alt, and I'm going to sample my color. I'm going to start to paint over. I'm going to start painting over the figure here. Now the nice thing about using the clone stamp at 50% is that you are able to blend things a little bit better. To where it doesn't look quite so obvious that you had taken out that.
It's quiet because I'm not getting to my book.
Excuse my daughter there. Sorry about that, Megan. So I'm just pulling through, and I can also do this. Hey Evan, I'm doing a video right now, okay? So I can also go through and actually get this doorway in. Excuse me. My kids don't always know when to leave me alone, and I don't really have a locked area for them to stay in. So as I brush over this, you can see this is a lot more time consuming than the other process, but it does give a more accurate representation of what we're actually looking for. And it does blend a lot better. Okay, so as I get to the edge here, this is kind of important. As you get to the edge of where the path meets the gazebo here, you want to make sure to kind of stipple your clone stamp over. Okay, so now I'm going to just finish up here by cleaning out some of this shadow, some of this stuff that's not going to blend well. Oh, good gravy. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller. Sometimes you think you're doing good with that size of brush, but it really ends up being kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, like I said here, I'm cleaning up some of this. And what I'm trying to avoid is by getting some of this discoloration there. Where the shadow was, some of these imperfections, because we just want to take out all the distractions. As you can see, it's not a super quick process when you do it this way, but it is a little bit more of an accurate process, and I like the look of it much better. You have kind of a natural, line that goes through the stuff there. Okay, I'll clean up the rest of that as I come down. So now I'm working on the next section. I'm working on the next section, which is the other person here. And it should go a little quicker now that I've got that first one out of the way. So, you do notice too that you have to brush over stuff a couple times to get it all the way opaque. Again, don't mind it because it helps with blending. So some of these lines that are in here that you can see as I'm working on this are a result of being a JPEG that was sent instead of working in RAW, which isn't a big deal. So, but it is easier to keep the integrity of the picture, I guess, if the RAW file is used. So I'm almost done here. Okay, so got some nice white ground here, nice bright color for the path. Okay, so as I finish this up, as you can see, I've got a much more accurately an accurate removal of that. So there are other techniques you can use. The nice thing about Photoshop, that kind of thing, is there is no one accurate way, and I actually don't like this altogether, so I'm going to go ahead and remove some of this. But there is no one right way, and I think that's what makes this really nice, is that there's so many different ways to do things in Photoshop, and this is just one person's technique. And of course, I learned from other people, and they learned from other people, and it's just, it's really nice to be able to take these techniques and really make them your own. So again, the big thing with using the clone stamp is don't use it at full opacity, and then just be careful. Don't try to do big strokes. You're gonna lose some of the integrity of the image that way. And then you can also use the content aware tool. So those are the difference between the two methods, and there's our original. So I prefer that one. There's some other things you can do to this image to enhance that. You know, you can enhance the blur back there so you don't notice as much. But now those people are gone, we've got a nice image. You don't really see much of the corrections unless you kind of pixel peep in there. And from back here, it's a nice image. And thank you, Megan, for sending this in, and I hope this was helpful to you.